Welcome to a session on how to use online rooms in D2L Brightspace. Let's get started. Our first topic will be how to access your PCC Zoom account, update Zoom, and how to adjust your settings in the Zoom client. Hello and welcome to a session on how to use online rooms in your Brightspace course. And welcome to my cat as well. The first thing I want to talk about with Zoom is, some of the ways to access your PCC Zoom account, and also making sure that you update your Zoom client before you start using the Online Rooms tool in Brightspace. So you should have received an announcement. If you go to your Brightspace homepage, there's an Update Zoom announcement, and there's a link to a Zoom support page on how to do this. So go ahead and follow that and use the way that works best for you. There's a couple of different ways to update the Zoom client, depending on your setup and your personal situation. So if you're struggling with that, give us a call on the help desk. Here's the help desk information, 971-722-8227, and we can give you a hand with your personal situation if you're having trouble upgrading Zoom to the latest version. So once that's done, I wanted to show you first, a couple of ways to access the Zoom client. So one of the ways to access your Portland CC Zoom account is to go to the web and type in portlandcc.zoom.us, and you'll get a sign-in request. If you aren't signed in already, it'll ask you to sign in. Now, this web page, you don't have to update the web client, but the web page will allow you to adjust different settings for your meetings. Any of the settings that you adjust here are going to persist for all of your meetings. So just make note of that when you're adjusting your settings. There's quite a few settings here, and I don't want to talk too much about this because I really want to focus on your experience using the Zoom client in Brightspace. But if there are things that you need to adjust, you can do that here. Some of the things to note about the Zoom client on the web are that you can see your recordings from here, which is nice. Now, your students can't see all of your recordings from here, and we'll talk about what they can see later in the session. But you can see all of your recordings from here. Notice that PCC will auto-delete your recordings in 120 days. So if you want to keep your Zoom recordings, please contact the help desk, and we can help you migrate your recordings to My Media. Here's also your settings. Again, like I said, there's lots and lots of in-meeting settings that you can adjust from here. For example, let's say that you notice that you are, always using the same setting in the meeting. You can come here and set it to persist, so you don't have to adjust it every time you have a meeting. Another really nice feature of the online client is the reports. So you are able to see a usage report. So this is really helpful if you need to see who logged into your meeting. For example, maybe you need to take attendance for your class, or a certain number of sessions visited is required for your class. So from this reports, you can click on the meeting and you can see the people who were in your meeting. So that's a really helpful report to be able to see. The other way that you can access the Zoom client is through the app on your desktop. So if you open the app on your desktop, this is what you're going to see. It'll tell you what upcoming meetings you have. You can create new meetings from here. You can look at your whole, you can schedule a meeting, you can, again, get to your settings. And let me grab that window from over here. And there are a host of settings that you can adjust to your liking. As you get more comfortable with Zoom, you'll find that, maybe there's different things that you want to adjust. One thing I would kind of go look at is your video settings. What is it, what does it look like? It's not showing me right now, but typically it would show me because my camera is being used by Camtasia to record this. But if you want to, touch up your appearance a little bit or adjust for low light, those kinds of things are kind of helpful. If you have, maybe you're in a dark room or that kind of thing. You can also, this is where you can adjust audio. You can adjust how you share your screen and your background and filters. Like, maybe you're, in a crowded space or something like that, and you want to have a different background. This is where you can do that. This is also in statistics where you can find out what version you're running. So you can see that I'm running the most recent version, which is 5.7. So you want to make sure, again, double check that you have updated to the most recent version. So that's all I really want to talk about with the Zoom client and the web, access to the web. So those are kind of the high-level settings that are available to you to adjust. The most important thing I wanted to talk about with you today, though, was being able to access online rooms through your Brightspace course. Next, we're going to discover how to use online rooms in D2L to create and manage your class meeting times. So let's head to a course. We've got our course here. I need to go into the class list and show the instructor view for you of this course. So you'll notice that this right here that I'm running my mouse over is called the navigation bar. So in the navigation bar, you should have an online rooms button. If you don't have the online rooms button, please contact the faculty help desk and we'll help you get that online rooms in your nav bar. Because this, if you're teaching a hybrid course and you need to meet with your students, or you're teaching a remote course and you need to meet with your students, this is the best way for you to do it. So if you go to online rooms, you'll come into an integration of Zoom in your course. So this is where you are going to schedule your meetings. This is where you're going to start your meetings. This is where students are going to go to join your class meetings. So this integration makes it possible for you to not have to send any meeting links to your students or anything like that. So from here, you can see that there are 4 different tabs. So we have a tab that the instructor can see called Upcoming Meetings. We have a Previous Meetings tab. And we have the Personal Meeting Room. And then we have the Cloud Recordings tab. So let's first focus on upcoming meetings. So let's say I have a class meeting every Wednesday at 10, and I want to schedule those. So I can do that by clicking on the blue Schedule a Meeting button, and we can say this is the Wednesday 10 a.m. lecture. All right, so I would like to have this start tomorrow. 9:29, and this is a 10 a.m. lecture. So let's put 10 a.m. and it is, let's say, a 1 hour and 30-minute meeting every Wednesday. And then because I want it every Wednesday, I'm going to click on Recurring Meeting. The default is daily, so you're going to want to change that to weekly, and it's going to repeat every 1 week. And it's going to occur on Wednesday. So you're going to have to unselect that Tuesday so it doesn't also create the meeting on Tuesday. Your options for end date are either to choose the date that you want, or you can say, well, I know that my class runs for 10 weeks, so we're going to have 10 meetings. So whichever one works best for you. So we don't recommend using registration because Brightspace basically acts as a registration because the students have to register to get into your class. using online rooms through Brightspace is very secure. The students, the only way that someone can access the link to your Zoom meeting is through Brightspace, and they have to be registered and added to your course. So it's a very secure way for students to get into your rooms. If you leave this passcode selected, it says only users who have the invite link or passcode can join the meeting. So that means that, only the students who can go to Brightspace and click on join will be able to get into your meeting. You can use a waiting room if you want. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But this is the only setting that we recommend for security. Video, you can choose to have your video on when you enter and your participants' video on when they enter, or you can leave them off. We recommend having the telephone and computer audio options selected. And then if you want people to be able to join the meeting before you do, you can leave that selected. That's kind of nice for if there's an emergency and you're kind of running late and you maybe can't get to your meeting room right away. And then we'll talk a little bit about alternative hosts here. This is a really important option for you if you team teach or if you are going to need a sub at some point during the term. So this is kind of how things work with Zoom integrated in D2L. When you create this meeting, all of these Zoom events get associated with your instructor PCC Zoom account. So what Brightspace does is it sends that information to Zoom, and then Zoom says, okay, I know who that person is, and they have these credentials as an instructor. If you have added a second instructor to the course, because they're helping you team teach, or like I said, maybe you need a sub, and that person tries to go and start your meeting, they're not going to be able to, because Brightspace is not sending the information as for the host of the meeting to Zoom. They're sending the information for somebody else's Zoom account. So this alternative hosts list will allow you to add a second instructor to be able to start your Zoom meeting. So you just need to add their PCC email account, and then they can go into the Brightspace course and they can be able to start those meetings instead of just join the meetings. And then they'll be able to they'll be able to have all the host controls, the screen sharing, the recording, and all of the important controls that a host has. So those are the settings that should really just be able to get you started. If you have, special circumstances that you would like us to help you with, again, please contact the help desk and we can help you customize your settings to meet your needs. So we're going to hit save here, and you get a little kind of preview every week on Wednesday. And there's several occurrences, and then there's your URL in case you need it for something. Maybe you have a student who says, I can't get into Brightspace, but I want to join the meeting, or something special. There's your meeting link. So let's go back to the meetings tab. And why is it not showing show all occurrences? Let's edit this. I like that this is causing oh, I see what I did. So I caused a little problem because I accidentally clicked on the after when occurrences button. What I was hoping for was to select this radio button and have it end on a certain date. So I'm glad I made a mistake, so you can see why it didn't show up as several occurrences. So now let's try again. And there we go. Now we can see the recurring meeting times for each Monday at 10 a.m. So if we go back to course meetings, now you can see this is the instructor view. So you can go ahead and start the meeting from here. So you'll just, when you're ready to have your class, you'll go to your Brightspace and you will go into online rooms and you'll be able to open your Zoom meeting from here. And it's connecting. So there you go. There is your Zoom meeting right from Brightspace. And then you've got all of them listed all at once. So let's go to, now let's see what this looks like from the student view. So I'm going to stop viewing it as the instructor. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to view it as one of the students in the course. Next, we'll explore what students see when they use online rooms in your D2L Brightspace course. So this is what your students will see when they access your course. So they'll have the online rooms button, and again, they can access the calendar or the Zoom events two different ways. One of the ways is through the online rooms. So you'll notice this looks a little bit different from the student view. They don't have the My Meeting Room tab because they do not have the ability to create a meeting in your course. Great. So, and you'll notice the only button they have is the Join button. So same thing, your student goes in, clicks on Online Rooms, and then can access your class meeting right there in Brightspace. Okay. And they can also see previous meetings that happened, and then they can also see the cloud recordings. So this is really important if a student misses class and they want to be able to see the recording of your last session. They can come in here, they'll see two different files. They'll see the recording with audio, and then they'll have the option to have an audio only file. Students cannot download from here, so they won't be able to share your recordings with anyone. If you need to share the recording with a student outside Brightspace, you can do that, and we can help you on the help desk with how to do that. But this is what a student will see when they open a recorded meeting, and they can watch it. So that's the student view of all of the class meetings for this class. And this is the online rooms access. So the other way that a student can get into the course meetings is through the calendar widget on the home page. So if we go to the calendar, we've got all of the different courses that this fake student is enrolled in are showing, but your students will only see the calendars for, maybe their 2 or 3 or 4 classes that they're enrolled in. We're right now looking at all events on the calendar. We can look at just events. We can filter by events, and the events are the Zoom meetings. So you can see all of the Zoom meetings for the course are here. The student can click on it and they can join the Zoom meeting from the calendar. And there we are again. So 2 ways for the student to access your class sessions through Brightspace. Our last topic for this session will be an overview of the in-meeting controls that you'll find in your Zoom session. Let's go into one of the meetings and we'll start it. Okay. So I'm going to leave my camera off, but I wanted to show you what the Zoom controls, what Zoom controls are available and what they do. So up here in the right-hand corner, you have a view. You can view speaker, gallery, or immersive. I tend to like gallery for classes because then you can see, like all of your students, all on 1 or 2 windows. So let's start here with security. Some of the options that are in here are that you can lock the meeting, which means no students can join. Enable a waiting room. If you haven't and you want to have a waiting room, like if you have students who are late or something like that, You can allow, this is where you can allow different controls for your participants, such as sharing the screen, access to chat, being able to rename themselves, and that sort of thing. One of the things that is an option here is to suspend participant activities. We don't recommend doing this because it will suspend that participant's activities for all future Zoom sessions. If somebody is really kind of being unruly in your class, which really doesn't happen, you can create a waiting room and then go to your list of participants, and you can add them to add that person to the waiting room. I can't add myself to the waiting room, but you can add that person to the waiting room. If you need to kind of, have someone step away from your class for a moment. Polls is kind of a fun thing. If you click on create a poll, you'll be taken to Zoom website and you'll be able to create a poll. And then let's see what that looks like. We have new poll and choice 1 and 2. We'll just save it. And then when you go back to your Zoom room, you'll see that the new Untitled poll is there, and you can launch it. And then all of your participants will have access to it, and you'll be able to see the results, live results of the poll right there. So that's kind of a fun tool. Your chat, of course. So some faculty I've noticed like to leave the chat open over here in the corner so that they can kind of monitor at the same time, maybe while they're showing slides and students have questions or something like that. It's nice to be able to have the chat kind of open in its own window and off to the side so that you don't forget to monitor it during the class. Or you can share important links here. Maybe to a website that you're talking about or a Google document or something like that. And of course, we have share screen options. So when you click on share screen, what you'll see is there's 3 tabs here. In the basic tab, you have the option of which screen to share. There's also this cool whiteboard. So I've seen math faculty use it, and you can write with your mouse. I'm not great at it, but it's kind of a fun tool. And if you are lucky enough to have one of those really nice tablets that are connected to your computer, or maybe you have an iPad or something, you can write. Again, I've seen math faculty use this really successfully because it allows them to kind of have an actual whiteboard. So if you're really a whiteboard heavy teacher, this might be a great tool for you. And it has a lot of the nice little formatting, kind of basic formatting things that you would want in an editor. So that's the whiteboard. Of course, recording. So highly recommend record to the cloud. So if you record to the cloud, then let's go back to the Brightspace course here, online rooms. If you record to the cloud, then your recordings will show up in this list and your students will be able to see past recordings. So definitely want to record to the cloud, save yourself some trouble with managing files and moving things around. Closed captionings. So here's where you can auto enable closed captioning. So you can see now it's turning what I'm saying into closed captions. So you can turn that on. It's probably nice just to have it on at all times for your students. But you can also from here assign a participant to type so that the captions are more accurate. But I haven't seen a lot of people use that. We do not have a third-party closed captioning service, so that's not an option that you will be able to use through PCC. If you do have services that a student needs, then we would need to go through DS in order to make sure we have the right captioning and transcription services for individual students. All right, so we're just finishing up talking about meeting controls in your Zoom meeting. So we left off with live transcript, the closed captioning, and now we're going to talk a little bit about break rooms. So when you create break rooms in your meeting, you can first determine how many break rooms you want to have, and then you have three options here. You can assign automatically, and then that just means Zoom will assign people randomly to whatever group. You can assign manually, or you can let people choose. If you assign manually, what happens is you get this window, and then you can assign. It's giving me a message that all participants have been assigned because there's only me in the meeting. But if you have your whole class of students, what you'll see here is a list of all of the people in the class. And then as you assign people for the next breakout room, those names obviously will be taken off the list. So you don't have to worry about remembering who you assigned where. And then you choose open all rooms. And once you've assigned people, this is where you can join the breakout rooms. So the users, the participants in your meeting will get a message that says join the breakout room, and then they'll open the breakout room. And then you can join rooms so that you can go in and see, what people are doing, answer questions, whatever it might be. So I'm going to join room 1, and it says you're now in a breakout room. And then your students will see the option to leave the room. From here, you have some limited controls. You can still record, you can share the screen, and then you can, of course, always leave the breakout room. And it will return, the students can get returned to the main session. And as you see, again, we have all the full meeting controls. Breakout rooms are a great tool for collaboration, so I hope you enjoy using those. Lastly, in our meeting controls, we have reactions. In your main Zoom, like if you access Zoom through the client or the desktop app, you can control how many emojis are available to students, but there's a good list here. Students can raise their hands, that kind of thing. You can disable this in your account settings. So that wraps up all of the options that we have that you're going to see as an instructor in your Zoom sessions.